My name is Barrett Ragsdale, and today we're going to be talking about high expectations and how that can affect our classroom. All right, so the first thing I want you to do here, a little icebreaker activity. You're in groups here, and all the things that you need are on your table. So let's go ahead and get started on this icebreaker activity. All right, so as you completed this, what are some things that you noticed about maybe some of my instructions or comments to you as you try to complete this activity? And first of all, was it challenging?
No.
Oh, you wouldn't?
Well, yeah, it was because you didn't really tell us what to do.
Okay, what about some of the comments that I was making as you asked some questions, or even maybe if I tried to give you some instructions? What did you notice about some of my comments? Anything stick out? Were they very helpful? Were they narrow? Were they specific?
They were kind of narrow, and we still didn't really understand what we were supposed to be doing.
And so I just kind of left you out to dry there. Didn't really encourage you either.
No.
I didn't encourage you. So this is really something that we think is simple, but as you just saw, that these are some things that can have effect on your outcomes. Is having high expectations, being positive. Okay, so one of the things I want to talk about from my professional development plan for the next school year, a big thing is modeling desired classroom behavior. So what our goal is, one of our main goals for our professional development is to create a positive environment here at Spring Garden within the classroom and the student body as a whole. Well, that starts with the classroom teachers, okay, modeling that appropriate behavior, giving them positive instructions, being positive in feedback. So this is a big factor in creating the environment that we want. So high expectations. We're going to talk about the growth mindset to accomplish these high expectations settings. So two things that I pointed out off this graphic I want you to think about as we go through. I can learn to do anything I want, and my effort and attitudes determine my abilities. So how many times as a classroom teacher do you hear, I can't do this? Or I'm not smart enough. I think you got the wrong class, and so on and so on. Okay, just I heard you talking about a class this morning, saying I think you're supposed to give this to second block class. This is not for us. Well, because we help set those expectations by our response to those words that we hear from our students. Okay, how we respond to those comments makes a difference, and that's what we want to focus on. So this question here: how can high expectations help students succeed?
When they feel good about themselves and feel confident, they're more willing to put forth effort, and they're going to be more successful.
So we as adults, we enjoy getting positive comments right about our efforts in the classroom or whatever. So it's the same thing as students. Okay, students are the same way in their learning environment. So look at this quote here, in a growth mindset, that's what we're talking about. A growth mindset, people believe that their most basic abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. Brains and talent are just the starting point. So this is going to be the basis moving forward for our professional development session today, is how we can encourage students to do their best and can work to attain their educational goals that we set for them or they set for themselves. So growth mindset versus fixed mindset. All right. So as you look at this, you see we just talked about, we hear a lot of the fixed mindsets. I can't do this. My abilities are not going to allow me to do this. On the growth mindset, we see the challenge, we accept it, and this is how we want our students to be. Okay. We want to give them a challenge, and we expect our students to accept that challenge, not just say, oh, this is hard, I can't do this. So how do we get there? How do we get our students to do this? Look at this cartoon here. You got a teacher coming in, maybe to daycare, and she tells them, good boy. And the boy that is picking up the toys, he's picking the toys up, but he says, what did I do right? What could she have said to be more specific?
Well, she needs to tell him that he's doing a very good job taking care of his toys. He's picking up the toys. He's being a good helper. You can go a lot of different ways with that.
So sometimes I think about myself when I'm grading papers, how many times we put good job, great work. Well,
I'm just thinking of one I just gave back. I just wrote excellent on it.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So and if you write that, you think, well, a student's not going to look at this. Well, they may not when you just put great job, excellent work. But if you write them a meaningful, specific comment and go, oh, Ms. Miss Jarrett saw that I worked this problem out and followed her steps that she gave me, or I gave a detailed answer to my discussion. So we want to talk. You've got your handout there that has got your specific praise and your vague praise that we can give to students during our class. And what I want you to do right now as a group, fill out on the back, you have a small little graphic, and think about what types of praise that you are using currently in your classroom. And it's broke down to vague praise and specific praise, and then we'll talk about that briefly after you finish this activity. All right, so looking at your chart there, so on the back there, what are some vague phrases that you currently utilize right now? Well, you just mentioned one, so you just shared that one. So off the sheet there, what are some that you catch yourself using a lot to your students?
Good job.
Yeah, good job. That's probably the most common, right? If you look on the back of the sheet, right here on the very bottom, it breaks down the vague praise. So out of those right there, what are some that, what is another one there that you might use quite often?
Well done.
And so what's the alternative specific praise that we can begin to use that narrows down in your other column?
Well done. Thank you very much for showing me your work so I can see that you actually know what you're doing and not just, you just put in a number wrong in the calculator, but you really know what you're doing. So.
Or if you give them specific requirements for an assignment, say, thank you for following these assignments, you just got more detail, okay? And you've got that broken down there into vague and specific praise that we can utilize. So do you think that matters? Just looking at it there from a different, we don't think about that a lot when we tell a student good job, but when you break it down and look at it, does it seem more meaningful? Maybe it could make a difference, and it does make a difference. So, picture here. Anybody recognize who this is? He invented something that we are using in this classroom right now, partially. That is Thomas Edison, okay? That is Thomas Edison. So why are we talking about Thomas Edison? So mindset and drive. We're talking about being encouragers and creating a positive mindset in our students. Well, Thomas Edison, did he invent the light bulb the very first try? No, he did not. He used everything from animal hair as the filament to human hair to cardboard. So he finally found the right thing that would harness that electricity. So, and you go back in his childhood, he was kicked out of school, was homeschooled by his mother. So somebody in his life had to tell him that he was doing good things specifically, or if you get kicked out of, say, grade school, that might be pretty detrimental to somebody. But somebody in his life was a positive influence, and I'm glad they were, because I hate I had to light an oil lamp every day, see light. So I thought this was pretty cool. Also talking about the brain and how if you're encouraged, you encourage your students to work hard. We can only imagine what our brain's capable of in some instances. This is a London cab driver, and in order to be a London cab driver, they require you to memorize the map of London. So and they still have the GPS, obviously, but if somebody can do that, that kind of takes away when you give your student a relatively small assignment and they say, well, I can't do this. This would be a good example. Well, we know what the brain is capable of. And so we've just got to harness that. So this is something I'm going to let you leave with today at the end. And this is going to go right beside your door where you have your WEDA standards, where you have your fire drill, all that. This is going to be right there by those important documents, because this is something that we want to look at throughout the school year, not just one time here today, talk about it and be done with it. But we're striving to create a nurtured classroom. And so I'm not going to read all those things to you. Just looking at the first box right there, mistakes are learning opportunities followed by a second chance in a nurtured classroom. So the difference between a nurtured classroom and the collared classroom, disconnected classroom, you can see there that this is obviously the one that we are aiming for. Okay? So as you look through this graphic organizer, think about your classroom and how it applies to some of the things that you're doing in your classroom. And again, you're going to take this with you moving forward. Take it out with you. It's going to be displayed in your classroom. I've got you a few teaching resources to influence your kids in a positive manner, to engage them, to try to get that growth mindset. Some challenging websites, some of them are just fun, get them engaged. But I'm going to attach this to a Google Doc and I'll send that out to you so you can use that. Now here's something that we don't think about either. We talk about these comments and how they can be effective, but what about your classroom decor? What is in your classroom? Is your classroom just dull and boring and just dry? I mean, I'm affected by my settings. I don't know. I can. It's just a feeling of it. Okay. And so talking about being positive, and just putting positive displays up in your classroom that encourages kids. Okay. Bulletin boards, great visual. Okay. This one right here, believe in the power of yet. I can't do it yet. I don't get it yet. I'm not good at this yet. So again, seems simple, but small steps to start with. So before we leave here, it means the exit slip, I want you to complete the graphic organizer there that you got, and when you finish that, you can turn that in on your way out. But 3 things you're going to expect from yourself this year, 2 things that you're going to stop making excuses for, and 1 thing you're going to expect from your students in order to be a positive influence. So thank you for your time today, and get those exit slips done.